Einen wunderschönen guten Morgen, der dritte Tag des Techlounge Livestreams hier von der IFA 2014 in Berlin. Wir sind in der Halle 16 am Intel-Stand und wir starten gleich sofort unser Interview mit einem extrem spannenden Gesprächsgast. Da freue ich mich ganz besonders drauf. We got the Senior Vice President of Intel over here, Mooly Eden. Good morning, Mooly.
Good morning to you.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much to spend some time with us and to talk about new products over here, because you guys been really all over the place with your launches.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so, well, of course we've had, I mean, the big launch this week was, of course, for you guys, finally, the Core M. We saw it already at Computex in June for the very first time. You've been teasing us already.
Yeah.
But now we got the products.
Yes.
And I think you must be super delighted about this.
Yeah, definitely. We are proud about it because if you come to look at what people want, they want smaller form factor, they want longer battery life, but they're not willing to compromise performance. And if you look at the Core M, that's exactly the evolution that we could have done, which is definitely the head of Moore's law. So if people would like to have strong performance in a tablet, you want it to be fanless. You don't want a fan, first of all, it's noisy, the other things, it consumes power. But on the other hand, if you want to do something like perceptual computing or capture 3D object, and we'll talk about it later on, you need a lot of muscle, you need a lot of performance. So the Core M enable us to go down to this territory, and I just can tell you, stay tuned and see what are the microprocessors that are going to follow, because we understand the need and we continue to develop in this direction.
It's quite interesting to see how Intel is really pushing the limits here. I mean, now we're talking about a 14 nanometer, and I've had one of you guys, Christian Lamprechter from Intel Germany, over here like 2 days ago, and we've been also talking about a little bit about what your competition is doing right now, especially because when we're talking about the mobile space, right, and what's going on in smartphones and whatnot, you're almost like 2 generations ahead in terms of your productions.
Yes, definitely. As somebody who used to be in design, today I'm managing it. But definitely, you know, if we look at ourselves as Lego builders, very complicated, the Lego building blocks, the transistors that we get are very fast transistors, very small transistors, and very small power dissipation, which enable us to put so many transistors. You know, today on a chip, we can easily pack 2 billion transistors. 2 billion transistors on a chip can enable you to do many functions, many things, and definitely we are privileged to get it from our technology development team to get such a great Lego building blocks to deliver what we want.
Now it's IFA time. In about just 3 daes, the Intel Developer Forum kicks off.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that you're also going to San Francisco, right?
No, I've got enough Frankfurt Flyer mileage, so I was excused, but there are many capable people to be over there in IDF next week, yes.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to this. Actually, it's one of my favorite shows of the year because it's getting very technical.
Yes, I believe if I'm trying to compare IFA and IDF, IFA is kind of the consumer festival. The way that I speak with my wife and my kids, it's a normal human being language. And IDF, I'd like to look at it as the geek festival. You know, you speak about the cache, out-of-order machines, I/O, power dissipation, TDP, all kind of words that are under the hood that average people will not understand what we are talking about, and they don't need to, but the technical people that develop it really needs it.
When we're talking about IFA over here, it became quite important for you guys. I remember like 5 or 6 years ago, yes, your OEM and your partner's been already at IFA. But like 10 or 15 years ago, no one was here. We were only talking about washing machines and the next TV set. And now we have a huge Intel hall over here, and you're also showing a lot of technology showcases.
Yeah, and I believe the reason is that when you look at the consumer, first of all, IFA got its own position as one of the biggest shows in the world. You know, people speak about Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas and IFA in Berlin. And the other thing, definitely you see what consumer wants, if it's a PC, if it's a tablet, if it's a wearables, that I believe we'll see more and more, and Internet of Things, which I'm confident the next year or 2 years, it will explode, because we expect by the year 2020 to have 50 billion Internet of Things devices. So definitely that's a great place to get and show what you have and get the consumer and the retailer attention to your products.
Fantastic transition. Let's talk about this little platform that you announced at CES, which is called Edison.
Yeah.
You have it behind glass over here, and actually there's an old standard PC right next to it, and then you have Edison, which is only as big as an SD card. That is amazing.
Yeah, and the idea is that understanding the importance of Internet of Things in the future, and definitely the fact that we would like to participate in this game, because our approach is very modest. We say if it computes and communicates, we would like it to be Intel. Definitely, we've got a lot of competition that we need to respect, but this is the idea, and I believe what we are doing is developing a whole line of architecture, the Quark that you have seen, etc., in order to be able to serve as the building blocks for these devices. And as I said, first of all, you need to develop the silicon, but if you want to attract developers, you need to do the SDK, the software development kit, which is kind of a layer that enable all the developers to develop in relatively easy way, because you take all the burden of developing this layer between the developers and the hardware that you are actually delivering.
It's quite interesting. There's also this environment that you put Edison down here on the show floor in Hall 16. We have drones next to it. We have 3D printers next to it. So this is also stirring up a lot of enthusiasm in this maker scene. And I think it's amazing how hardware got reanimated, and we see more and more hardware startups.
That's right. And when I say 50 billion Internet of Things devices, you think about it. Everything that you have today, by the way, today 85% of the compute devices are not connected to the cloud. If you look few years forward, your refrigerator will be connected to the cloud. The refrigerator. Your washing machine will be connected to the cloud, because I believe that in a few years I'll put my laundry into the washing machine, but the washing machine will be operated actually by the power company, because they'll see what is the level of
peaks,
consumption,
yes,
the peaks,
yes.
etc., and they might give you extra fare. Your car will definitely be connected to the internet. Your garage will be connected to the internet, so once I'm going inside, it knows my car, recognize me, my Internet of Things, all these devices that are... So it's going to be amazing, and definitely I believe it will help us to live better life, but the idea is we would like to be able to provide the building blocks to come and support all this great growing ecosystem.
This must be so amazing right now, because what I see is that, and you know that, of course, that we have this merger of so many different markets right now. It's kind of all coming together. Home automation, the connected car, wearables, our notebook.
You forgot the most fascinating thing, the fashion industry. Because if you look at the wearable devices, suddenly you find all kind of cooperation between tech company and fashion company to deliver all these great experiences.
Even you guys just introduced something, a new bracelet, which looks like a fashion statement.
It's not looks like a fashion statement, it is a fashion statement.
So I'm going to see Intel devices on the next Fashion Week in New York.
I will not be surprised if you see more and more of those, yes?
That's quite interesting. You know, let's go back to some technical ideas. And you've mentioned something about the perceptual computing. I remember that you kicked it off about 2 years ago at IDF 2012. I was lucky enough to be at your contest as a judge. Perceptual computing, when we look in the way we were interacting with machines and computers, we're basically using the same tool that we're using for over 100 years, which is a keyboard. And you changed it. You're working on changing this.
I would like to be modest. Yes, we put the effort to change it, and I hope that you'll be able to say in a year, 2 years, you change it. Yes, if you come to think about a keyboard, you know, normally when I did the introduction of perceptual computing, I ask people, why is the letters placed on the keyboard the way they are? And everybody tried to guess, you know, it's easier and stuff like this, and the answer is not. If you remember the old typing machine, I don't know how many of the audience remember typing machines. If you type too fast, two of the hammers were going together and they're stuck.
And then they got locked.
And they're locked, and you need to use your finger to release them. So actually, the keyboard was designed to slow you down. And 100 years later, we humans are using keyboard that the only intention in life is to slow us down. It's crazy. But the more interesting thing about perceptual computing is we say that using keyboard, using mouse, using all these devices have been the best at the time, but not intuitive. And the idea behind perceptual computing is to try to make sure that man-machine interface will be very similar to the interface that both of us are having with each other when we speak.
Yeah.
And it has to be natural, intuitive, and immersive. Natural means that I would like to speak with the machine the same way that I speak with you. It's voice, it's gestures. I look at your facial recognition. Are you smiling? Are you interested in what I'm saying? You look at my face, does Mooly think my question is smart or not? We read each other all the time. We listen all the time. We watch each other all the time.
Yeah.
That's exactly the way that we want to do it with computers. So when you'll come to work with a computer, you'll not have to learn a language. You'll just speak to it the same way that you speak to me. You'll exchange, you'll do gesture, you notice that I'm using a lot of my hands and stuff. This is the way that we would like to make the man-machine interface.
When you launched the Perceptual Computing Challenge, which was a developers challenge, just to kind of embrace ideas of developers on what they would do with it,
Yes.
you've also launched an SDK,
Yes.
and it also came with a little bit of a hardware package. That
Yes.
was a creative camera at
Yeah,
that time.
Creative package, yes.
And then about, I think it was Computex in 2013, you've also announced a little bit of a different platform and showing how small it could get.
Yeah.
And I think you even have something
I'll
over here
have
for
it
us.
and I explain why we did it. Because we wanted, first of all, one of the things that we wanted to do in perceptual computing is to enable 3D camera. And you know, some people say the world is moving to 3D. And my reaction was, no, stupid, the world is not moving to 3D. It was always 3D. The computers are moving to 3D. And our dilemma was, how can we ramp it very fast? Now, if you look at the webcam, and I believe some of the audience remember the webcam, it took us kind of 5 years, and then it went up very fast.
Yeah, yeah.
And the question, what's created this growth? Two things. First of all, a small form factor, not the external device, that you can make it much smaller, you can integrate it into the PC, and you can drive the cost down. And the second thing, one great application, only one. You remember which one it was?
Skype?
Skype. That's it.
Yeah.
So we say, guys, we do not want to run on the runway for 5 years. We want to do it much faster. So first of all, we had to develop the camera. And what you see over here, I don't know if you can show it.
Oh, here we go.
You can see actually the 3D camera that we have. You can notice, first of all, it's very thin. You can compare it to my finger. And trust me, I don't have thick fingers. My fingers are pretty thin. And then you can see the size. And definitely this can easily fit into a tablet or into a notebook, and in the future into an even smaller form factor. And by doing this device, and we put huge amount of effort because it looks simple, but it includes laser and optics and MEMS and special chip to process the data. It's a very complicated piece of design. We did it in order to be able to enable it. And on top of it, as you say, we developed a software development kit to enable many, many applications. We'll go to the market with kind of 40, 60 applications, but once we'll grow the number, we expect many more developers to unleash their imagination and develop it on top of our platform.
Well, that's why I'm always saying, you know, just look forward to our coverage again from the developers forum, because this is just giving you an outlook of what's coming up in the next 2, 3, or 4 years sometimes, and it's always so interesting to keep people excited.
And the reason it's great, because you get some ideas that you didn't even imagine it can happen, you know, because you've got your own opinion, you're normally in your own boxes, they call it,
Yeah.
and suddenly you unleash it to the people, and they come with ideas and say, where the hell did they come from? But that's what makes it so fascinating and so beautiful.
It was so interesting to really do this developers challenge for perceptual computing, and the winner, there was a software company from the US. They basically created something for kids. It was a puppet game, so you could use your hands, right? And then it was turning into a wolf or into Little Red Riding Hood, and they could kids could paint their and draw their own wallpapers in the background. They could record everything, so it was a great use case to show what you can do.
For kids, it's great. You can use Muppets, and you can play with your hand, and you can play. Now we just announced it. We are going to have King Julian from Madagascar. You know,
Oh, right.
We need to move it, and all this kind of thing. You can imagine the kids playing with it. You can unleash their imagination. They can do it. And I believe it's important for many things. We'll be able to speak about it for business and stuff. But the reason I like it about kids, because if you come to look at kids, by the way, it's a worldwide problem. I believe in Germany as well. 1.5 years old kids ask you, what is it? And a 3 years old asks you, why? And a 10 years old asks you, how? And between the age of 3 to 10, we put them in the box, and then we ask, how are we going to get them out of the box? Why don't they ask why? Why don't they explore anymore? And I believe all the things that we are doing, and you'll see, and by the way, I wish you'll be able to go and take some picture, because, you know, to speak about experience, it's really complicated. It's like PowerPoint karaoke. But I hope that you'll be able to take some footage down and see what you can do and see how you can unleash the imagination of kids playing with their hands, playing Muppets, design their own theater, doing all these kind of great things. I believe it's a nice thing in the right direction.
We've had a great booth walkthrough yesterday, a live one, been showing all different ones. which there's this amazing holographic UI that you also have over there, and also using the 3D camera. That is amazing. The last time I saw what was on Hollywood was a kind of a Minority Report or something.
That's exactly true. First of all, for the audience, what you're speaking about, we've gotten holographic, but when you want to touch the thing in the space on the holographic, how can you do it? And then we put three-dimensional camera that they can identify the fingertip, and you can work on all these things. And actually, if you look at many things that we do with perceptual computing, you say, yes, I've seen it. I've seen it 20 years ago in Star Wars, in Star Trek, and Avatar, and Minority Report. You have seen it in a science fiction movies. And what I said in CES, that our job is to take the fiction out of the science fiction and make it science. And I believe finally, people wanted it for many, many years. But I believe finally we have been able to cross the threshold, and we've got enough performance, enough horsepower to do all this wonderful thing that we always wanted to do. But many things that you see on the floor over here, we couldn't have done it. It's when we didn't have performance. We need to use servers to do it, and suddenly we can do it in the notebook, and that's what makes it so fascinating.
You know, and I can't even imagine what you can build on platforms like the Edison. You know, what the guys out there are coming up with in the future, especially again from this maker scene.
But we need to be modest. You know, we'll be able to do many wonderful things on Edison, but if you want to look at the high-end perceptual computing,
we need a little bit more
natural
horsepower.
language processing, gesture recognition stuff, you'll need more horsepower. But as you say, and I agree with you, if as Moore's law will continue to advance and will put more and more power, we'll be able to take all this great experience even to a smaller and smaller. I've seen the hovercraft. Immediately ask the guys, if you put a 3D camera, you can avoid crashes because you can just look forward, and the depth camera will tell you how close you are, and you can. So many ideas. I believe we'll see many of this next year in IFA.
And I mean, you're already working on just getting the sizes down. If I compare, for example, a Haswell PCB or mainboard to the one that you can get with Core M right now, I can't even wait to see the next generation of notebooks and the battery life, because I'm saving so much space now for a designer, for a notebook manufacturer, and they can squeeze in more batteries in there.
They can squeeze more batteries, or even on the same battery, will consume less power. And I believe the challenge, the big challenge, I see two categories. First of all, I want to break the barrier of 10, 12-hour battery life, which means when you go to work, you don't need to take the power block with you.
Right.
It can serve you the whole day. If you need to do it at home, fine. I believe the difference between 6 hours and 10 hours is much bigger than 10 to 20, because 6 to 10 means that you don't need to go with the power block. And that's what we are delivering right now as we speak.
Yeah, so we're going to see the first device already in the fourth quarter. So perfectly timed for the Christmas season, and I think it's just also a great opportunity to now upgrade your system, which is what I'm going to do now.
I'm not going to argue with you. You are going to upgrade your system. I'll love it, and our business will be great.
Yeah. So what's going to be, you know, this ultimate question, Mooly? What's going to be the next big thing? You know what? Actually, I'm always saying the car is going to be the next big thing. Sounds kind of weird. It's always over 100 years old. But as a German, I think that's quite okay to say that.
It will be, I would even say something controversial over here, but I speak for Mooly, I'm not speaking for Intel. First of all, there's no one big thing, because if you look at the rate of innovation, it used to be linear, now it's exponential. It's growing so fast. So to predict what's happening 5 years from now, it's almost risky. And I'm sure there will not be one big thing, there'll be many big things. But one thing I believe will happen, I don't know if it's going to be 5 or 10 or 15 years. My personal belief, and again I speak for myself, is that definitely cars are going to be one of them. I believe that we'll have car without the drivers. Driver is dangerous. Driver is tired. Driver drank too much beer last night. Is in a good mood or bad mood. If we let computer drive the cars, not only that it will be much safer, even if you go and a car is coming from the other side, remember Internet of Things, everything will be speaking with the cloud, etc. I will know that there's another car coming from the other side of the road. You cannot even see it as a driver.
Right.
So I believe that will not be far away the date, and I believe I'll live to see it, that you'll just sit in the car and say, take me home.
Yeah.
And this is definitely one of the evolution. You'll speak to your cars. You'll not need to SMS and text and all these things that we are doing, causing so many car accidents. So I believe cars will be one of those. But I believe your house will be one of those. Your house will be totally computerized. You will be one of those because there'll be so many computers on your body that you'll live your life in a different way. So I believe that we'll see huge amount of innovation every year and just getting faster and faster, which make our challenge bigger and bigger, but that's what makes this technology so interesting.
Yeah. I have an interesting story to share with you because during CeBIT, we've been also doing our live stream from the Intel booth, and we've had the head of engineering of the automated car of Mercedes-Benz over there. And we were talking in general about, how the development is going on. And he basically said, for the Autobahn or for a highway, we're good to go, right? That's pretty easy for us to do this, right? It's ready. They've had a demo of a truck, right, like 2 or 3 months ago. And then I was asking him, okay, let's talk a little bit more technical. So what did you put into the trunk? And guess what he told me? He said, I went to the local Media Markt, which is like a German Best Buy, got 3 Haswell the desktops, and we got the mainboards out, right, and got it back into the trunk. And I said, hey, listen, we really need to talk. So I made him a contact with the Germany guys. Please, guys, give him maybe a Xeon processor or something with a little bit more horsepower, which is smaller, right?
Yeah, definitely. If it's my trunk, I would like to make sure that you have a strong microprocessor. By the way, probably we'll have more than one.
Yeah.
We'll have 2, or if you speak technology, we'll have 3. Why 3? One is driving, the other one is driving. I look at both computers. If the command is the same, I'm okay. If the command is not okay, means one is not functioning. I'll kick in the third one to see which one is right. And I'll give you back a story. People ask me, will you let the computer drive your car? I say, guys, 2 months ago I went to the US, and when the airplane was going to land, suddenly when we've been 300 feet above ground, he went up like this, and actually the suitcases fell. And the pilot says, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we've been very low and there was no visibility. I'm going to turn around and do equipment landing. So if the situation is tough and you trust the equipment to do the landing for you, why can't we trust the equipment to do it for us on the road, etc.? So I agree with you. It's going to be a huge revolution. We'll be able to sit down in the car, we'll be able to nap and just get home when we need to get there.
It's definitely going to be exciting. Mooly, thank you so much for your time over here. I know you have a tight schedule. I'm looking forward to what's coming up from Intel in the future. Wir haben als nächstes den Achim Hepp gleich um 10:30 Uhr. Wir gehen jetzt so ein bisschen 5 Minuten. Wir haben Sony Standrundgang vorbereitet. Den spielt der Martin jetzt ein und dann sind wir gleich wieder da.
Do you want to start?
You are the perfect girl.
But you could actually start with like, okay, Sascha.
Okay.
It could be like this.
Okay. So, Sascha, we are here at the IFA, and maybe you noticed my new smartwatch. Forget the Apple iWatch or whatever. This is the future, and you can see it here live at IFA. And with me is Nicole Scott.
Nicole Scott from Mobile Geeks. And we're going to take you through Sony's massively impressive haul. But first, we're out in the summer garden.
Yeah.
There's some music playing over there. If we weren't so busy trying to show you everything, we would just be drinking beer, listening to music. Sadly, we're not doing this. But lucky for you, we're going to go check out some of the new stuff from Lenovo. So Lenovo had a pretty interesting press event the other day. They launched the first true octa-core processor. This is, I think it was the 6595? Yeah, so the thing is, they came out with a layered smartphone.
The vibe.
Right? The Vibe X2. So the cool thing is about this, it is the true octa-core, like I was saying. It is the 6595. I know my processors, woo!
And 5-inch display, I guess, yeah?
5-inch display, but the thing that we're all kind of talking about with this one is, if we take a look at the sides, right, it's got these like layers on it, and I'm pretty excited about the fact that it's got this floating display. The last time we saw this was on the Xiaomi Mi 3.
What do you mean with floating display?
Floating display. So you see how like the display is like set up that it's not
On top.
actually on top.
It's on top of the device.
It's on
okay.
top of the device. And there's not so many devices in the market that have this, right? And so like the thing that I have to respect about Lenovo for doing this is that only geeks will really love the fact that it's layered, because it's technically it's quite difficult to do
Yeah,
3
of
layers
course.
of different colored plastic.
And it's got a selfie cam with 5 megapixels.
Yes,
a
and
selfie
there's
cam.
a selfie cam with 5
Okay.
megapixels.
Means
Comes
a
in a
front
bunch of
camera.
different colors. Got a blue one over here. There's actually a wood one over there that is, oh, it's Guido
Here
from
we have the
Notebook
wood one.
Italia. Hey.
Wow.
Hey,
a
we're actually
wooden.
doing the IFA live stream right now.
That's great.
Yeah. So this one's got the
Awesome.
bamboo cover, totally gorgeous. So this is just one of the devices that,
okay.
we can't. Damn it, I wanted to steal it.
I wanted to take it with me, yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Gorgeous. I love how all these companies are